Hello beautiful people, welcome to video number 2. This video is going to be all about the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system is so crucial to understand in our personal pursuit of health and vitality and regeneration. So there's a lot to get through, and I'll try and get it out nice and quick so we can cover it in hopefully nice, basic, simple terms that we can understand and utilize as quick as possible. And before we get stuck in though, I will say that Dr. Morse's work and those that follow his work, it's really about restoring energy and health to that which is suppressed. So rather than playing the allopathic mainstream medical game of disease, and then with that disease there's a pill and there's a magic silver bullet and all these things, and we're more about just looking at the body. Okay, it's lacking energy, it's lacking health. How do we restore that and then allow it to thrive and do whatever it needs to do, self-correct whatever it needs to self-correct, whatever disease it is, really just a symptom that the body is struggling. So work with the body and nurture the body and allow everything to come back in proper natural alignment. So this isn't really medical treatment, medical advice, sorry. It's just taking on board what I share as I continue on this journey of sharing my path. So that said, let's look at, the first thing we look at is chemistry. So very simple, two sides to chemistry. And at one end we have acids, and at one end we have base chemistry. So acids are hot and they burn, and then the alkaline end is cool and it's soothing. So if you go all the way down, then you'll find that like bleach and things like that will burn as well. But for the most part, acid 0 to 7, that's more the hot and the burning end, and then from 7 going upwards, this is more the alkaline state. And then we get to the extreme end as well. We don't want to go all the way to 14 and bleach. So looking at that scale, just understanding that there's only two sides, and that's the balance that we see in life. There's light and there's dark, there's up, down, left, right, male, female, acids and base. Cool, so keep that in mind as we move forward. We start to look at the human body as a bunch of cells, right? Trillions of cells, but let's just think it's just the cell, and it's got a fluid, two fluids surrounding it. We call that interstitial fluid. One is feeding the cell and the other is cleaning the cell. So the feeding process, is done by the blood, right? So the blood sitting at 7.4 on the pH scale, that is taking, with an alkaline fluid, it's taking the nutrients to the cell. And then the cell utilizes those nutrients. Hopefully it's able to produce some energy, and then it eliminates its byproduct, cellular waste, which is acids, right? That's sitting at about 3 pH. That eliminates, dumps it into the interstitial fluid, but not into the blood, because the blood wouldn't be able to cope with 3 pH and you would soon be dead, but into the lipid-based or fat-based lymphatic system. And because it has to deal with acids, it is made with that lipid base. So lipids are able to buffer that acidic nature, which comes with cellular waste. So super simple. Just think of it, your body needs to be fed and it needs to be cleaned, right? The blood is feeding it and the lymph is cleaning it. It's taking away the waste. The way in which, an easy way to understand this is to look at the body like the house, right? And we have a sewage system in the house. Whatever waste we're trying to eliminate, or i.e. whatever waste is produced by the cells that we need to eliminate, are dumped into the sewage pipes, or in this case the lymphatic, the lymph vessels, right? And the sewage pipes or the lymph vessels take the waste out into the septic tank, or physically the lymph nodes. So the lymph nodes are our body's septic tanks, where we take the waste, we dump it, and it sits there and it's converted from a 3 pH to a 6 pH. And that's done by bacteria breaking it down and doing its job. So we need that bacteria, we need that good bacteria in the body. And it's also done with immune cells and macrophages doing its thing as well. So the lymph nodes are very important because that's what's going to convert the cellular waste to a less acidic state. From there it passes down to the kidneys, right? We've got the kidneys, one on each side, with the adrenals piggybacking them, one on each side. And they are like the brains of the kidneys. So they always are working together, right? When the body is happy and healthy and everything's working correctly, the lymph will take the acids down to the kidneys, and then the kidneys will successfully eliminate it out in our urine. So you'll find that the urine actually has sediment settling in a cup if you were to check. Not just a white or a yellow color, but actual sediment settling. That's the cellular waste that correct kidney function will allow to leave the body. And when that's done, the body is able to get fed, hopefully, by the good foods that you're eating, right? Nutrients into the body, and then eliminating the acidic byproducts of creating that energy and leaving out through the kidneys. What happens though when the adrenals and kidneys start to shut down because of the foods that we eat, the complex amino acid structures in the proteins, the caffeine and the stimulants that we live on, all of these things, stress and all those things. What happens when that starts to overload the body is that the kidneys shut down, bang. So filtration stops, and we start to find that the acids, rather than leave the body, start to build up. So they build up in the lymph, and the lymph surrounds the cells. So all of a sudden, throughout our body, we start to get this spreading of stagnant lymph, or the acids are staying inside our body and aren't being eliminated. When that happens, and a cell, which is used to an alkaline state, right, nice and happy in the alkaline environment and everything's going well and it can be part of whatever job it's part of to help that gland do its thing, what happens when that starts to become acidic and it's hot and it's burny, right? The cell becomes unhappy and it starts to play up and it doesn't do its job. And when a cell doesn't do its job, then the gland or organ that it's a part of, or the system that it's a part of, which is just comprised of a bunch of those cells, that starts to not do its job. And then we find ourselves where we are today as a species, suffering from this ever-growing list of diseases. And everyone's a victim to this disease, and there's nothing you can do except take what mainstream allopathic medicine offers, and that's a band-aid for that symptom that you're feeling. That symptom which really can be traced most of the time to this systemic acidosis, this lack of correct filtration, and we're just living in our sewage. It's just recirculating. And so regardless of what you see, just keep in mind that it's going to be traced back to a very similar process of the road to recovery. To put it simply, the damaged kidneys or adrenals equals no filtration, which equals a backup of acids, and that acidic state will start to cause havoc on the function of our systems and organs and glands. And then moving beyond that, so moving beyond, for example, something we might call hypothyroidism or low thyroid function, which I've been diagnosed with. Moving beyond that is when things start to mutate. So when the acidity that's stuck in our lymph is so great that it pops through the cell wall and it starts to cause the cell to mutate. And then through that mutation and through that, in that stage of degeneration, then our health really spirals. And this is what most of us will refer to as cancer, which is devastating our species. And we're getting lost throwing billions, or I don't even know, trillions of dollars down the cure for cancer rabbit hole. But really we're looking at, for the most part, is just degeneration. You're in that final stage of systemic acidosis. So yeah, rather than treat the symptom, treat the cause. Rather than treat the thyroid, the hypothyroidism, with some synthetic thyroid medication that I was given that only further signals the body to downregulate its natural production of T3 or T4, the thyroid hormone. So rather than treat the symptom, let's go to the causal factor. What's the cause? Okay, we're looking at the body is swimming in acid, start to drain it out. Why isn't it draining? Why isn't our acids being eliminated? Oh, because of the kidneys, because of the adrenals working together. And so once we can fix that, and once we can bring back the body to a nice alkaline state, then we can start to overcome all these different symptoms that we're being conditioned to feel we need to live with, but really we don't. So without going on too much longer, a simple look at what to do is just start to alkalize the body with your foods. What we eat is so important to the state of our body. It's our closest connection to the outside world, is what we actually put inside us. So look at the fruits, look at the raw vegetables in their raw state before we cook it, and it changes the enzyme structure. But predominantly fruits, especially. Even the salads and that, without, most herbivores will have multiple stomachs, and at least 4 stomachs, 3-4 stomachs, and we don't really have that. So there is this strain that comes with even just all vegetables. So look at the fruits. I'm going to do a video on this coming up as well, just to try and help people get past that fear of sugars. But embrace that natural sugar that the fruits offer. Start to welcome in that electromagnetic energy, that the fruits hold the most of, and feel that energy come into the central nervous system, and start to reinvigorate the body and fuel the body. And then that starts to give us energy. We can start to alkalize and return to balance, and then start to overcome these other conditions, any symptoms that we're feeling. So I think I'll just relate that quickly to my own journey. So starting young, I had a lot of tonsillitis, so my body was struggling. My lymph nodes, which my tonsils are the lymph nodes for my head, were being overwhelmed for whatever reason. And so rather than support that, I took the antibiotics, which just destroyed the bacteria which I needed inside my lymph nodes to help. Thank God I didn't get them removed. And then growing older, it started to manifest as a young adult. I had skin issues, and the skin is our 3rd kidney. So if the kidneys aren't filtering, then the skin will try and compensate and start to try and eliminate these acids. And we might see acne, which I came into in my early 20s, or eczema or psoriasis or different things like that. So I went to the dermatologist, didn't have much luck there. They didn't ask me anything about my lifestyle or food choices, just wrote me a prescription, which I took, not knowing any better. And then later coming to tests a few years ago, looking and identified red flags with the kidneys, the liver, and my adrenal 4-point cortisol test. So, and that makes sense that they were all out, especially the adrenals and the kidneys. Like I said, they're closely related and they work together. And then very recently looking at the thyroid, so being diagnosed with hypothyroidism, low thyroid function, and the parathyroid issues where controlling calcium, it's starting to pull calcium off the spine, which is early onset of arthritis, right? And my parents have osteoarthritis. So to me, it's starting to make sense. Okay, I'm going down that path, and that's what I'm genetically predisposed to if I create that wrong internal terrain. That's the key, the internal terrain we create. And so looking very simply at that, the adrenals are down, the kidneys are down. Okay, the adrenals relate to the pituitary gland and through the HPA axis, and the pituitary gland releases thyroid stimulating hormone, which controls the actions of the thyroid. So there's this connection here where I'm starting to see, well, one's wrong here, and my body was trying to warn me about that earlier on, and now that's relating up into the pituitary, which is controlling the thyroid, and just piecing it together. Whatever symptoms you've got, just continue to look on Dr. Morse's YouTube site, and bear with me as I try and get more and more of this information out there, but just start to piece together what you feel, what you're going through. And by now, a lot of us should be thinking, yeah, I've been on a prescription for a very long time and I'm no better. I may be worse, or, I'm just masking it. And if you feel like there's an answer, then start to work towards that answer in your own time, and just piece together these different things, and it'll start to make a lot of sense, or at least it has for me. So, thank you for today, tuning in. I hope it was helpful.